Welcome back to the channel. This is Roberto with Full Coil Precision again. I finally was able to get a better computer set up, get it back into the office, and here's what it looks like. Here we go. Got the printer. Nothing fancy computer, but it does a job. This, I've been using it. This is Gordon's reloading tool. Again, it doesn't replace manuals, but it works better. And I'll kind of give you an idea. Go away, notification. I don't like you. Anyway, so let me zoom out a little. Right there. Guess it stayed the same. But, so you can go over here, you click on this, and this is right now in the 6.5 millimeters. Look at where the tab bar is. Like, you can, there's just dozens and dozens and dozens of factory and even Wildcat type cartridges. See? They even list them. Wildcat, Wildcat, Wildcat. So what's kind of cool about this program is the fact that it really allows you a huge swath to learn about. See? Another Wildcat, the 338, 375 AI. There's so many in here. So it's like, oh, where are you getting this information from? I'm getting it from here. A lot of this is this. You know, you can pick whatever. So, you know, whatever it is you're going through as far as reloading information, data, here's where it gets really cool. So I'm scrolling to what I use. So we're going to use mine as an example. Where did I go? 270 Winchester, right there. So apply to load data. Don't show this again. Here we go. And you see that made an adjustment. So I had some information in there. Now, here's what's kind of cool. So you go over here, and it has it in meters per second. So you can hit this. There we go. Convert it to feet per second, and then foot-pounds. It tells you have the type of projectile, right? So you have, so for this, because of my particular rifle and load, I can scroll all the way down and up. There's all these varieties. So I'm choosing the Nosler 150 grain AccuBond long range. So I select it. Come over here, hit OK. Again, do not show this again. Yes, so you select your bullet type up here. You come down here, there's a whole variety of powders to select from. But here's where it gets kind of cool too. So I'm going to convert this over. So there's the caliber, pressure to PSI. And I can type this in. Hit enter. There you go. Convert all of this into standard 3.34. So for like mine, I found that mine does 3.43. There you go. And gives it volume. Barrel length for mine is 24. Gun weight, I'm not really worried about gun weight. Twist is 1 in 10. So if I go in here, and again, to the guys who are like, I had a couple guys say, there's no way I'm getting 2,950 feet per second with my rifle. This gives me an idea that I am, because if I go in here, there's all these different powders. So I go to Hodgdon, and I'm using H4350. So I select it. And, okay, so I'm set at 65,000. I can come down over here, and I have my grain weight. I'm using 54 grains. Now, here's the thing. 54 grains is what my rifle likes. But this, again, is based upon sea level. So at factory sea level, I'm supposed to be getting 2907 feet per second. So I'm adjusting for elevation. it's not that hard to believe that I'd be getting 2950 feet per second. And I got those numbers, 2940 to 2950, before my chronograph died. Okay? So I have an idea what I'm getting for velocities. But in either case, I can push with this and still be well under the pressure. Because here, check it out. It lists it. So maximum pressure, muzzle pressure. There you go, 57,740. I'm still going faster than that 2,800. Okay, so when you see some factory loadings, it depends on the type of projectile they're using, the types of powders, and the types of primers. The other aspect is I'm using a Magnum primer. I don't use regular primers. So there's like large rifle, then there's large rifle Magnum. I prefer a Magnum because I like to get a hotter start. So there's different things that factor it. I will get a proper chronograph of it once I get a new one. Saving up for that too. But all in due time. But if I toy with this, like here we go back into the powders. I'm going to go down to something like Ram Shot, and if I use the Hunter, and I select that, it changes. So the other thing, part of this is your load ratio and your burnt propellant. So you want as close to a 100% load ratio as you can, and your burn propellant as 100% as you can without exceeding pressure. So I can go in here and I'll type in 58 and see what it gives me. I'm at 96% burn, 96% load ratio, 100% burn. I'm at over 3,000 feet per second with the Ram Shot Hunter. If I do 59, type it in, now you see I exceeded it, right? So that's me blowing out primers. I'm starting to do damage to my rifle. So 59 grains is too much. So I'll type this in. I'll go 58.5. Then I'll move over and I'll see. So I'm basically just under max. I wouldn't load this personally. But at 64,164 PSI, I'm getting 3,030 feet per second with a 150 grain Nosler AccuBond long range. That's an impressive load. So I'd probably load it down to closer to, let's see, I'll do this. And go into a 58.2. So again, bringing it down a little further off that peak line. I'm into safer operating pressures, so 63,060 PSI. I'm still over 3,000 feet per second. So there's a reason why I really enjoy using this program. Because when you add in factors like you're able to adjust your case overall length, your barrel length, your twist rates, a handful of things. I don't know why it says 11 pounds, but let's just, I don't know if it's going to make any difference, but let's just see what it does if I go 9 pounds. Does it affect anything? No, it doesn't. It does not affect anything in that relevance. I guarantee you my rifle setup is not going to even be 11 pounds. With everything I added onto it, again, I didn't add a whole lot to it. You can kind of see. Again, I have a cheek riser kit from Beartooth Products. That's neoprene with a little piece of foam. Holds a few extra rounds. You got your sling, and you have my scope and muzzle brake. So I don't really have a ton of weight. I probably have like a 9.5 pound setup. It's not a lightweight rig, but it's also not the heaviest. I don't want an ultra lightweight rig because I have found that after you've kind of been hiking a little bit and then you're shooting, especially when you start shooting in with a little bit more of a wind, lightweight rifles seem to get pushed easier with either you being out of breath a little bit or with winds. I find that heavier weight rifles don't really move all that much. So I feel like when I'm taking longer range shots, and I'm talking about typically between 300 and 400 yards, I like to have a rifle that settles. And having a medium profile barrel adds weight, therefore it's easier for it to settle. I've had nothing but success with this setup. It's not just this one. I've just noticed in general rifles that are right around the 9 pound mark, 9 to 9.5. Typically, I'm talking total weight. Typically, shoot a little bit better and more consistently than rifles that are 6 to 7, 7 to 8. They tend to settle in better. They recoil less. They also stay on target easier. I like all those features because I have to. If I have either a potential follow-up shot, let's say on the same animal. Let's say for simple example, let's say I'm shooting at an elk. Even with larger cartridges like 7 Rem mag and 300 Win mag, 338, so on and so forth, it's not too unheard of to need multiple shots even from Magnum cartridges on large bull elk. They're just that tough. And so the consensus around where I am, being in southwest Montana, is when you're hunting elk, you just want to shoot until the animal is down. Don't worry about anything else. Just get that animal down. You don't want to be trying to track it over a mountainside. And I kind of like that idea. On whitetail, I'm not worried about that. The 27 does a good wound channel on them real easy. Puts them down. I didn't have a problem killing the elk I did this year with my 270. It did the job. But I will say this. I like having a rifle that also has a barrel that doesn't lose its grouping after 2 or 3 shots, because it's very common where I am to have 4 or 5 doe tags. So like even this year, between my general tag, which is 1 tag, so it's good for mule deer or whitetail, buck or doe, but I could purchase 6 doe tags over the counter from my region. And you know what? It comes out great, because not this past season, but the season prior. The first opportunity we had to go out hunting, I took a newbie out. He lives a couple hours from me, north of me. And we went out and we spent more time waiting for daylight than we did actually shooting. It was his first time out, so my general rule of thumb, if I'm taking a newbie out, they shoot first. Not because I don't want to shoot, but because I want to have them have a good experience. And if there's a shooting opportunity, especially if they're hunting near where I am, I'd rather them shoot first so they get their deer first. Because me, I basically, for lack of a better phrase, hunt in my backyard. There's a couple neighboring properties that allow me to hunt white-tailed does, and I appreciate that. There's another neighboring ranch that doesn't care what I take because he's overrun every evening with whitetails. He's like, I don't care if it's a buck or a doe, just shoot something. So, I've been fortunate enough to have good relationship with some of my neighbors to work that out and to hunt for some good quality meat, because they're typically on alfalfa fields. And I'm going to tell you this, I'll take a white-tailed doe on alfalfa over a mountainside elk. It's too consistently good. It really is. That's my personal opinion, and I get some people are going to probably have a problem with that. Yeah, well, I don't care. You're not eating for me, and you don't have my tongue and my taste buds. So leave that alone. Anyway, So yeah, I try to do my best to see what I can accomplish and everything else too. This program is super useful, and I really like how it has enabled me to shoot some really good groups. Because here's the best part about it too. Because again, going back to these numbers, so I'm getting really good velocities, and I'm still under max pressure. But check this out. I'm 96% case capacity. So it's not an absurd amount as far as volume. I'm loading a pretty good amount, but I'm still getting a 100% burn propellant out of my 24-inch barrel. So that's one of the reasons why I talk about barrel length. I did a video on it, and I'm able to get numbers. Because here's the thing. If I go here and I can type in that, I can do a 22-inch barrel. Type that in. I come over, and because of this type of powder, I'm still getting a 100% burn propellant. But look at that. Went from 3015 to 2949. So the same amount of powder, everything else, because of 2 inches less, I lose 65 feet per second. So then I take that same amount and I go back over here, wherever I had it. There we go. And this is why I talk about barrel length being important. Come back in. Yeah, even though I'm still getting the 100% burnt propellant, 2873. So I'm losing like 150 feet per second in 4 inches of barrel. Yeah. And so when I did that video about barrel length and the importance of it, that's why if I go back to that 22 and I type that in, what I like is the fact that I can I'm still getting faster than a lot of advertised velocities with this setup. And I'm doing so in a slightly shorter barrel, an average barrel. 22 inches is comfortable for fitting suppressor, but it's also long enough to get a good burn. You get that, but it's like, well, but you're getting 100% burnt propellant. Yeah, but I'm also losing a lot of velocity the more I chop off that barrel. That's also why I'm going to be doing my load data on my build, my custom build, on a 22-inch barrel, not a 20-inch barrel. I will not be providing any sort of data for a 20-inch barrel. You want to do that, that's you on your own, but I will not be doing anything. The way I look at it is if you want to do a 24-inch barrel, you can also do that as well, but that's also on you. I'm doing 22 because it hits this sweet spot. Because if I can push that 150 grain bullet at 2950 out of this 24-inch barrel, that's pretty stinking good. If I can get 2875 with a 165 grain, out of a 22-inch barrel, like a 165 grain Nosler AccuBond long range or like 2900, that's also really good. But I'm not interested in having a bunch of stuff that's going to be in the 2700s, 2600s feet per second. That does not interest me. If I want something that slow, I'll buy a Creedmoor. Again, nothing wrong with a Creedmoor in of itself, but just frankly, it's a slow cartridge. It really is. For the length of barrel that it requires and how lightweight the bullet is, it really should be getting better trajectories. So, but anyway, all that said and done, this is Gordon's reloading tool. And so it gives you a good way to play with numbers. There's more in-depth ways. It gives you dimensions of your cartridge. Yeah, it's a really, really good program. And the cool part is it's free. You don't have to pay for it. So, yeah, please like, subscribe, share, comment. This is what I do. This is part of what I use. And yes, I do compare it to other manuals that I have. But I really enjoy using this because it just is so much that you can play with, and it gives you a much more realistic connection to your shooting. Again, please like, subscribe, share, comment, and we'll talk to you another time.